Now, before going to see the auditing standard, first let's see the definition of the term audit. You can say the formal definition of the audit, or you can say the features of auditing. And this definition can be asked in the exam also, and you have to write all these things which we are going to discuss here. As per this definition, audit is a systematic and scientific examination. तो यहाँ पर ये कहते हैं audit means systematic and scientific examination of books of account of a business by an independent person or a body of person who are duly qualified for the job. All these words are very, very important, and you have to write as it is in the exam. It is a systematic. Why systematic? Because you follow a systematic approach for the audit. It is also called a scientific examination. Systematic and scientific. Why it is scientific? Because it has a systematic body of knowledge. And in this definition, they says that you have to examine the books of accounts. So the sole focus is on the books of accounts of a business. And who will do this audit? It will be done by independent person. This term is also important, independent. The person who will be doing this audit should not be connected to this person. It means he should not be employee or any way related to this business. So he should be an independent person. Then only he will be able to express his opinion freely. Now they say that it should be done by independent person or body of person. It means that auditor can be a single individual person, or it can be a firm. It can be a firm having the members as chartered accountant, like firm of a chartered accountant can be appointed as auditors. And here you have to remember that a company, one company may appoint more than one auditor also. There is no restriction in the Companies Act for this. Now, these independent person or body of person should be duly qualified for the job. Now, if we see the Companies Act says that only a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India can become the auditor. So here, duly qualified means the person should be a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. In short, he should be a chartered accountant. Now let's further see what audit involves. So audit involves two things. First is verification, and second thing is critical review. Now when we say verification, what you have to verify? So here they say the auditor will have to verify the profit and loss and the balance sheet. So whatever result shown by profit and loss or the position, that is the financial position shown by the balance sheet, these results and financial positions shown by P&L and balance sheet should be verified with the records of the company. That is, it should be verified with the books of accounts of the company. And when we say critical review, it means critical review of the system of accounting and internal control, how this business is doing their accounting. You have to check the accounting system, whether it is good or bad. You have to check that. And also you have to check whether there is any internal control established in the business to check the frauds and error or not. Now, all these verifications and review will be done with the help of vouchers. For example, payment voucher. You have to check the vouchers. You have to check the documents like return filed with the various government authorities. You have to check purchase invoice or sales invoice and so many other documents. And also you have to check the information. You have to collect the information from whatever means you can collect about the business, and also you have to get the explanation from various authorities within the business or outside the business to do your audit work. सो इफ वी सी कि अभी तक हमने जो डेफिनेशन पार्ट कवर किया, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है ये डेफिनेशन, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इट, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर दीज कीवर्ड्स एंड राइट इन द एग्जाम। अभी तक जो हमने ऑडिट की डेफिनेशन देखी है, ये कहते हैं इट इज अ सिस्टमैटिक एंड साइंटिफिक एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट डन बाय एन इंडिपेंडेंट पर्सन। एक इंडिपेंडेंट पर्सन करता है इसको, या फिर बॉडी ऑफ पर्सन करती है, जो कि ड्यूली क्वालिफाइड है फॉर दिस जॉब। अब मेनली जो ऑडिट है उसमें क्या इन्वॉल्व होता है, इट इन्वॉल्व वेरिफिकेशन। आप वेरीफाई करते हैं जो रिजल्ट शो कर रहा है P&L एंड जो बैलेंस शीट पोजीशन शो कर रही है, फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन, उसको आप वेरीफाई करते हैं विद द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट। एंड ऑल्सो यू डू द क्रिटिकल रिव्यू ऑफ द सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग। ये जो सिस्टम ऑफ अकाउंटिंग है इस बिजनेस का, और जो इंटरनल कंट्रोल है, चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस आपने प्लेस कर रखे बिजनेस में, वो ठीक तरह से काम कर रहे हैं या नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये भी इस ऑडिट का एक पार्ट होता है, इसका रिव्यू लेना। और ये जो आप वेरीफाई करते हैं, रिव्यू करते हैं, ये किसकी मदद से करते हैं? यू टेक द हेल्प ऑफ वाउचर्स, डॉक्यूमेंट्स, इंफॉर्मेशन एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन फ्रॉम वेरियस अथॉरिटी। अब यहां पर डेफिनेशन खत्म नहीं होती है, अभी और पार्ट बचा है जो इंपॉर्टेंट है। नाउ लेट्स सी दैट पार्ट ऑफ द डेफिनेशन। So definition further says that during the audit, the auditor will have to satisfy himself with the authenticity of the financial statement। यानी जो financial statement दे रखी है यहाँ पर, जो रिजल्ट शो कर रही है, फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन शो कर रही है, वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट fully authenticate है। इसका मतलब there is no fraud, there is no error, the results shown by these are fully true and fair view of the business transactions। And finally the auditor will have to report, this is the important part of the definition। ये सब करने के बाद ऑडिटर करेगा क्या? रिपोर्ट करेगा। रिपोर्ट क्या रिपोर्ट करना है? रिपोर्ट दैट द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एग्जिबिट अ ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू ऑफ द स्टेट ऑफ अफेयर ऑफ द कंसर्न। अब यहां पे पहले भी बताया था, ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू, ये जो वर्ड्स हैं बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको आपको मिस नहीं करना है, ये लिखना ही है। सो ऑडिटर हैज टू रिपोर्ट दैट ये जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट है ये ऑथेंटिकेट है and it gives the true and fair view of the state of affairs of the concern। अब ये जो रिपोर्ट है, ये रिपोर्ट किसको देगा? This report will be given to the shareholder। The auditor will prepare its audit report and it will give to the shareholder। अब शेयर होल्डर को देगा का मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि हर शेयर होल्डर के घर जाके वो ऑडिटर देगा। इट विल सबमिट इट टू द कंपनी एंड द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर विल प्लेस दिस ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इन द एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ द शेयर होल्डर्स। नाउ इट फर्दर सेज दैट द ऑडिटर हैज टू इंस्पेक्ट, कंपेयर, चेक, रिव्यू, स्क्रूटिनाइज द वाउचर्स सपोर्टिंग द ट्रांजेक्शंस। तो अगर कोई ट्रांजेक्शन यहाँ पे बताया है कि सेल्स हुई है 10,000 रुपीज की, द ऑडिटर विल हैव टू चेक द सपोर्टिंग डॉक्यूमेंट। इन दिस केस सपोर्टिंग डॉक्यूमेंट विल बी द सेल्स इनवॉइस। Apart from sales invoice, he will also check the cash book or debtors balances। Further, they say that auditor has to examine the correspondence, the minute books of the shareholder, directors, as well as he should check the memorandum of association and the articles of association and so many other things। सो यहां पर आपको ये चीज क्लियर हो जाती है कि नॉट ओनली द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट, यानी बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट के बाहर जाके मिनट्स जो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट में नहीं आता, मेमोरेंडम, आर्टिकल्स, ये भी एग्जामिन करने हैं ऑडिटर को ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ ऑडिट। एंड व्हाई ही इज सपोज टू डू दिस? टू इन ऑर्डर टू एस्टेब्लिश द करेक्टनेस ऑफ द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट। अब यहाँ पर एक्सप्लेन करने को बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, डिटेल में जाने के लिए बहुत है, लेकिन एग्जाम में आपको इतना लिखना है, इट विल बी मोर देन इनफ। अगर ज्यादा डिटेल में जाएंगे तो आपको शायद रिकवरी पॉसिबल नहीं हो पाएगी ठीक से, तो अभी आपको इतना ही लिखना है। आगे के जो भी प्रोविजन है वो हम डिटेल्स देखेंगे ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ फर्दर लेसन्स वी विल स्टडी। And now we are going to discuss the emergence of auditing standards in India, and after that we will see the emergence of auditing standard at international level. So as you are aware that as far as companies are concerned, the audit should be done by chartered accountant, and since audit will be done by chartered accountant, the primary responsibility for issuing the standards, that is the auditing standard, rests with the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. And for this purpose, the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India has constituted the Auditing Practice Committee on September 17th, 1982. तो 1982 में ICAI ने ऑडिटिंग प्रैक्टिस कमेटी को फॉर्म किया था और इसका पर्पस था टू डेवलप द न्यू फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ स्टेटमेंट ऑन स्टैंडर्ड ऑडिटिंग प्रैक्टिस एंड गाइडेंस नोट। कहने का मतलब है जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑडिट करेंगे कंपनीज का या ऑडिट करते हैं कंपनीज का, उनके लिए कुछ गाइडलाइंस इशू हो, कुछ स्टैंडर्ड बनाए और वो स्टैंडर्ड के हिसाब से सभी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट अपना ऑडिट करें। इसी पर्पस के लिए ऑडिटिंग प्रैक्टिस कमेटी का फॉर्मेशन हुआ था 1982 में। बट बाद में लेटर ऑन इन जुलाई 2002 this auditing practice committee has been converted into auditing and assurance standard board। इसका मतलब the auditing practice committee का जो नाम है वो अब बदल के auditing and assurance standard board कर दिया है। Now the primary responsibility for developing the auditing standard rests with the auditing and assurance standard board. So this board actually formulate the auditing standards, and once these are accepted by the council of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, this council issue these auditing standards, and it will be mandatory for all the chartered accountants to follow these auditing standards while conducting the audit. Now, if we see the issuance of auditing standard, the Council of ICAI has issued in 1982. First time it issued the Statement on Standard Auditing Practice. इसको Statement on Auditing Practice बोला जाता था। But in 2002, to match our auditing standard with the international auditing standard, international जो auditing standard थे उसको match करने के लिए the council has issued the auditing and assurance standards. In 2008, these were further renamed as engagement and quality control standards. So as present, when we talk about auditing standard in India, we mean that engagement and quality control standards. And these engagement and quality control standards are in line with the international auditing standards. So the effect of these engagement and quality control standard, which are in line with the international auditing standard, is that whenever audit will be done, it will be done uniformly throughout the world, whether in India or whether outside India. Whenever an auditor will audit the business or the books of account, the same set of procedures and principles will be followed. And the most important effect of these is that since the same set of principles and procedures are followed for audit throughout the world, any audit report issued in India may be accepted outside India by the authorities and persons, and it enhances the comparability of the financial statement. It also provides the authenticity to the financial statement throughout the world. It is more acceptable and more reliable. Further, you have to remember that whatever auditing standards has been issued either in India or internationally, all are aligned, and each standard has a unique number, and this number is same across the world. For example, auditing standard number 500 is prescribed for collecting the audit evidence. So audit evidence के लिए 500 standard लगेगा. So this standard will be applicable throughout the world. The same standard 500 for audit evidence will be applicable throughout the world. Now let's see the emergence of auditing standard at international level. So at international level, there is one body named International Federation of Accounts and its short form is IFAC. अब यहाँ पे याद रखना C यहाँ पर नहीं है नाम में, but still it is IFAC. So International Federation of Account, this is the main body responsible for issuing the auditing standards at international level. You can compare it with the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India at India level. So ICAI is at India level, IFAC is at international level. Apart from this, there is the International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, which is responsible for formulating the auditing standard at international level. So the short form is that IAASB, and it is just similar to AASB in India. Now, if we talk about the International Federation of Accountants, it came into existence in 1977 and it constituted the International Auditing Practice Committee to formulate the international auditing guidelines, and these guidelines were later on converted into international standards on auditing. And now we are going to discuss the auditing standard applicable in India, which are issued by the Council of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. This is very important part, and before we go ahead with our syllabus of auditing, it is very important for you to understand what are the auditing standard and how they are bifurcated. So these standards are issued by Auditing and Assurance Standard Board of India. When I say issued by AASB, it means these are issued under the authority of the Council of ICAI. It means AASB formulate, develop these standards, and finally these standards are issued by the Council of ICAI. Collectively, all these standards are known as engagement standards and quality control standards, or you can say engagement and quality control standards. So basically there are two main divisions. One is engagement standards and another is quality control standards. Now first look at the quality control standards. Quality control standard, there is only one standard, and the numbers which are reserved for standard on quality control is from 1 to 99. We will talk about this later. Now let's move to the engagement standard. Engagement standards are divided into 4 parts. The first part covers standard on auditing, that is in short called SAEs, and the number reserved for these are 100 to 999. After that comes standard on review engagements, and the numbers are 2000 to 2699. After that comes standards on assurance engagement, and the numbers reserved are 3000 to 3699. And finally, the last bifurcation is standards on related services, and the numbers are 4000 to 4699. And you can notice here that there are few numbers which are missing in this series, though these numbers are still reserved by the ICAI for development of future standards. So future standard, whenever they will be issued, they will be accommodated in other numbers which are specifically reserved for those. So for the time, what you have to do is you have to remember these numbers and the name of the standards. You have to remember these. What these words mean, we will see later on. First, you have to understand there are total 46 standards, and there are 2 new standards, recently issued standard. One is SAE 3420. It is regarding assurance engagement to report on the compilation of pro forma financial information included in the prospectus. We will discuss about this later on. And another recently issued standard is SA 701. It is regarding communicating the key audit matters in the independent auditor's report. Apart from these recently issued standard, there are few standards which has been revised recently, and these are SA 700, SA 701. Means after issuing this new standard, it has also been revised further, and then SA 705, 706, then SA 260 and SA 570. These are released by the Institute on 17th of May 2016. And now we are going to discuss in detail about the quality control standards and engagement standards one by one. So first, let's talk about the engagement standards. The engagement standard, as we have already seen, there are so many parts in engagement standard. Again, these engagement standard can be divided into two main parts. That is, one is assurance services. For assurance services, there are three engagement standards, that is standards on auditing, standard on review engagement, and standard on assurance engagement. And one engagement standard is for related services. So you can call it a standard on related services. So as you can see that engagement standard, there are mainly four parts, but these four parts also grouped in two parts. So one is for assurance services, and another is for related services. Now let's see the terms which are used in these standards. First, let's talk about the engagement term and the quality control. So first, try to understand the quality control. See, quality control standards are issued for the firms or the proprietor, that is the auditors, who will perform the engagement services. So whoever that is the auditor, whenever they perform the engagement services, they will have to maintain the quality of their work. And for that purpose, quality control standard has been issued. There is only one standard has been issued in this category till now. Now let's talk about the engagement. Any auditor can be engaged by any company or firm for providing the assurance services or related services. When we say that assurance services, it means the auditor is supposed to do the professional work. That is, nature of work is of professional nature. Only an expert can handle that work, and here he has to give his opinion also. So when we talk about assurance services, it means the services of a professional nature where the auditor will have to give his opinion on that matter to enhance the confidence of the user of that report which is issued by the auditor. Now for assurance services performed by the auditor, there are three types of standard. First is standard on auditing, then second is standard on review engagement, and then third is standard on assurance engagement. Now out of these three, the first two are for the historical information. That is, historical means, it does not mean that the of ancient time. Historical means which has already happened. For example, for a particular period, let's say for the year, financial year 15 and 16, accounts are already done. Accounts books are ready. So this is a historical information which is contained in this account. And now you have to report on the financial statement prepared by this organization based on these accounts. So here, if you note it carefully, standards on auditing as well as standards on review engagement, both are based on historical information, but there is one small difference. That standard on auditing is here he has to give, the auditor has to give the positive opinion, and whereas on standard on review engagement, he has to give the negative opinion if there is any. Another difference between the standards on auditing and standards on review engagement, the scene where these will be applicable. When we apply standards on auditing, there is ample time with the auditor. There is so much of time to perform his audit. Whereas when we talk about the standard or review engagement, the work is like that you have to finish in the limited time. You don't have time to go into the details. You just take a review. That is, the word review is important here. Standard on review engagement. You have a limited time. You just have to review by applying some ratios and you have to give your opinion. Here the time is very limited. So let's take one example. Suppose this is a company. Now this company wants to appoint you as a statutory auditor. Remember, statutory auditor for auditing the accounts of the company. Now, if you are auditing the accounts of the company, you have ample time to audit these books of account and give your opinion. Here, the standards on auditing will be applicable on you. Whereas, if let's say, for example, it's a listed company, one is listed company, and this listed company will have to give its quarterly result. You remember that it is unaudited quarterly result. It has to publish in the newspaper, also have to publish on the website, also have to give to the stock exchanges. Now, although these are unaudited financial statements, still the companies will have to appoint some auditors to review, to give the review of on this unaudited financial results. So whenever a company appoint to give a review on unaudited financial statement, quarterly unaudited financial statements, it is called review engagement. And here in this case, the standards which will be applicable will be standards on review engagement. So here in review cases, the time with the auditor is very less and he does not go for in-depth analysis. Now let's talk about another standard, that is standards on assurance engagement. Here the approach is for future. It is not based on historical information what these two first standards were based. It is based on forecast or estimated information. So suppose one company wants a bank loan, एक बैंक लोन चाहती है और इस बैंक लोन के लिए इस कंपनी को प्रिपेयर करना है फ्यूचर फोरकास्ट और एस्टिमेट्स देने हैं. For this purpose, if this company appoints an auditor, where this auditor will have to deal with the forecast and estimated information, the standard on assurance engagement will be applicable. Now let's talk about the related services other than audit or review. A chartered accountant can be appointed by any company or a firm for other matters also. For example, maintenance of books of account, filing of return, and so many other matters. Here also the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India has issued one standard, that is a standard on related services, and all the chartered accountants will have to observe these standards while performing the related services. Now let's come back to the standards on auditing, that is SAEs, which is based on historical information, and here the auditor will have to give the positive opinion that all the records are up to date, the company has complied with the law, and all these things he has to mention in the positive way in its audit reports. That what we means by positive opinion. So these standards on auditing are further divided into introductory matters, for which 100 to 199 are reserved, but there is no standard issued by the institute in this matter. After that comes general principles and responsibilities of the auditor, where total 9 standards are there and the numbers are 200 to 299. After that comes risk assessment, how the auditor will assess the risk involved in the audit engagement. He will have to comply these standards, that is the risk assessment standard, which are total 6 and covered under 300 to 499. After that, there are audit evidence, how the auditor will collect the audit evidence. And on this, total 11 standards are there, contained under 500 to 599. Apart from this, there is standards for using the work of others. Whenever a chartered accountant performs the audit, he has to coordinate with other people also. Sometimes he has to use the work of another chartered accountant who is also auditing the same business, or he may have to take the expert's opinion on certain matters. So all these the chartered accountant, the auditor, will have to follow these standards. There are total 3 standards and number are 600 to 699. Then comes the standards on audit reporting. There are total 6 standards in it, including the latest new one, and these are numbered from 700 to 799. Audit reporting, the name suggests, whenever you give the report, you have to follow these standards. And there are some specialized area standards for numbered 800 to 899, or let's say sometimes people say 999. And there are total 3 standards in it. So these will be applicable for specialized area. Although there are so many things to discuss about these standards, but we will discuss these during our course. When we will cover the chapters one by one, we will discuss all these standards. Now, as far as the list of auditing standard, that is the assurance and quality control standard, is concerned, I have given you the list in the form of notes. I'm not reading out these standards here. I have given the list in the form like, first of all, there will be a standard number, that is the number of the standard. Then there is a category. Then there is a subcategory. And then after that, there is a title of the standard along with the keywords. So I have given the keywords. You just have to see the keywords to quickly revise those standards. And remember that you have to remember the number of these standards. So this is just a list which I have given in the form of notes. You can refer that, and please revise this list as and when possible, because you should remember, you should know these numbers, that is the auditing standard number as well as the title of that standard.